Happy Wednesday. Welcome into the show. You're watching Philadelphia Eagles Now live here on Chat Sports. No matter where you are, how you're tuned in, we appreciate all of you for making today's show a part of your day. Plenty to get to as it is Dallas week. F the Cowboys as always. And coming up on today's show, we're going to pass along all of the latest Philadelphia Eagles news and rumors. We're going to preview this game against the Cowboys. I have some burning questions that I have to relay to the audience about this football team, and we'll be taking your questions as well. Let's start off with this. I'm calling Eagles fans everywhere because this is the worldwide Philadelphia Eagles channel that covers this team every day, year-round. If you despise the Dallas Cowboys, I want you to hit that thumbs up icon and like the video, and I want you to type F Dallas in the chat. F Dallas, F Dallas, F Dallas. Cool Rains, Ernesto Jr., Lamont, Bentley B., Steven, Nosy Rosie. I saw David Marcella in the house a little bit earlier. One of our Super Chat OGs. Coyote, Hockey Tyler, God Productions, Michael Gutierrez, Jake Lee, Jarrett Francis, Reggie Brown, the former Eagle Reggie Brown out of Georgia, Adele Thompson, Robert Alessandrini, Dev, all type in F Dallas. That is the movement this weekend. You think about this game against the Dallas Cowboys here. Great opportunity for Philadelphia to lengthen that lead for the number one seed in the NFC, but also to lengthen that lead in the NFC East. You lose this game against Dallas, and then things obviously get very, very interesting. David Marcella getting us started with a $5 super chat, and fittingly, LFG F Dallas. I will start the super chats. David, it's funny that you said LFG on my tweeting out that we were going live here on Eagles Now. I said LFG too. Great minds think alike, and great minds think alike because it's F Dallas all day, every day. Appreciate David there for the donation. And if you so kindly want to send in a super chat, we certainly appreciate you. It's Wednesday, so we're down to have fun as we always are right here on Eagles Now. If you want to get on the show like David, you can send in a super chat, or if you have a pressing question or a hot take that you want to pass along, you can use the hashtag Eagles. Therefore, producer Trizzy Trace will be able to see that. He'll pop it up, and we'll get you on the show. I'm looking at the chat here. Kane Angel watching from over the pond. Tyrese Parker, Manuel Garcia, Jarrett Francis, and Frederick Fletcher. D. Boylo, Christian Meza, all a part of the recent commenter club. So use hashtag Eagles or Super Chat to ask us anything. We're about to start the official show right now. I'm ready to rock. Trizzy Trace is ready to rock. And I hope everybody out there is ready to rock as well. First, though, can we get 60 likes here on the stream? We have 125 people watching live. We have 38 likes right now. If you love the Eagles and you're a real one, I want you to hit that thumbs up icon and like the video. Hockey Tyler is saying hi. Hello, Hockey Tyler. El Capper, Cow Turds cutting Dak loose to run for his life. God Productions, F Dallas Cowgirls. Coyote, Hurts to Bland. Are you talking Bland or A.J. Brown? Which one are you trying to say right there? David Marcel saying, Trizzy, what's good? Cool Rains, Aussie, Aussie, Aussie. Oi, oi, oi. Waffle Crusher, Chase, my boy. We're 7 likes away from 60, and then we'll start the official show here. Dev passing along some important news. That's why Eagles fans are the best. Saying Jalen Carter, full participant, even though it was a walkthrough. That's good news, and it points to his status against the Dallas Cowboys, leading to him potentially being able to play in that game at Lincoln Financial Field for Week 9. Great rivalry game, and honestly, could be one of the best NFL games in the regular season on the calendar here. Nino Brown, what's up, my guy? Hello, all the way from the Caymans. Wow, that's very cool. We have people literally watching us from everywhere, and we're going to talk about every single talking point around this football team that ranges everywhere as it pertains to the Philadelphia Eagles. 1 like away from 60. And then we're going to rock and roll. Who's going to be that person to get us to 60 likes? And then we'll start the official show. Robert, thank you so much for the compliment, my brother. I appreciate that. A lot of people in the chat saying, y'all do a great job with the channel. Well, if you don't know what we do here on the channel, you'll know if you continue to hang out with us, because the best Eagles coverage is coming your way right now, and it's Dallas week. So go Birds, and let's get the official show started. Welcome into Philadelphia Eagles Now by Chat Sports. Chase Sr. here with you. It's one of the best weeks on the NFL calendar. It's Dallas week for Philadelphia as the Birds get set to host the Cowboys on Sunday at Lincoln Financial Field in a pivotal game in the NFC, a pivotal game, of course, in the NFC East. And if you despise the Dallas Cowboys, I want you to do two things. I want you to hit that thumbs up icon and like the video if you can't stand Dallas, and also type F Dallas in the chat. So the stage is set for another really great game between the Cowboys and the Philadelphia Eagles. I know that we can rip the Cowboys all we want, but this is a really good football team coming into this matchup with only 2 losses. They're duking it out with Philadelphia to try to win the NFC East. And, of course, even after getting dump trucked by the San Francisco 49ers a couple of weeks ago, they do have an opportunity to improve their standing in the NFC playoff picture. Kickoff set for the late afternoon window on Fox, 4:25 p.m. Eastern at the Link. The total over-under for this game at 46, and Philadelphia only 3-point favorites. And you look further at these betting odds. Usually when a team is at home, they automatically get those 3 points because of home field advantage. It's going to be a raucous environment in South Philadelphia. So when I look at this line, I don't love it for the Eagles, because this here is a Dallas line with the Eagles only being field goal favorites. You take a peek at the NFC East standings, the Eagles, best record in the NFL, the only squad in the National Football League to have 7 wins to their name, 7-1 up to this point. The only blemish on the resume for Philadelphia, that loss to the New York Jets. Then they rebound in a really impressive way against the Miami Dolphins, holding that #1 overall offense in check. And then last week, they come back from 14-3 against Washington on the road, and they ended up taking a 2-touchdown lead in that ball game late before Washington scored that garbage time touchdown. The Cowboys, though, couple of losses this year, to Arizona, to San Francisco. More on that in a moment. They're in second place in the NFC East, followed by those aforementioned Commanders at 3-5, and the New York Giants at 2-6. Obviously, what a matchup this is between 2 of the best teams in the National Football League right now with how these 2 teams are playing, but one of the best rivalries, not just in football, in all of sports. And this game will have a lot of playoff implications, and that's why I think it's a tremendous opportunity for Philadelphia to show the nation, to show the world what they can bring to the table. That them making it to the Super Bowl last year and the success of that team can now trickle to the rest of this decade, and this organization can really go on a special run. I think that the Eagles here can continue to prove that they are the best team in football. I think that the Eagles have a great offensive line, a great defensive line. The secondary can improve, but the players are there. Pass rush is starting to get better. They have elite players on both sides of the ball. Jalen Hurts has been playing great football at that quarterback position. If the Eagles can get the run game on track, the wide receivers are starting to really show out. Obviously, A.J. Brown's done that in 6 consecutive games. How great was it to see Devontae Smith really show out at FedEx Field? Dallas Goedert, one of the top tight ends, and I love this Eagles coaching staff. Can you imagine if Philadelphia can put it all together in one sole package? And if they do that, they are a really, really scary team, because so far on the Eagles' schedule here, they've shown these flashes here and there of being able to represent the team in Las Vegas for Super Bowl 58. But offense, defense, special teams, they haven't combined together in one game to have that one dominant showing. You might look at that Dolphins win and say, well, that was it, Chase. No, because Jalen Hurts had the fumble and the interception, which led to 10 Dolphins points of their 17. So you look at how the Eagles have fared this year. They had to gut it out against the New England Patriots, 25-20, an impressive win against the Vikings, but they gave up that 27-7 lead to Minnesota. They go on the road. They run crazy against the Bucs, 25-11. They win in overtime against the Commanders, a hard-fought road win cross-country against the Rams, 20-14 loss against the Jets. They played awful in that game and should have won it despite turning it over 4 times. Their most impressive win to date and one of the most impressive victories that any team has in the NFL this year was that 31-17 victory over Miami. And then last week, 2 turnovers inside the 5. But going back to why I love the makeup of this team, and it has to do with the roster construction, the players, the talent, the coaching. What I love about the Eagles, how mentally tough they are and how they're so multiple. Like in that Washington game, a little bit of a shootout, and they were able to win. And they can win in a shootout in kind of a hyper-athletic offensive showdown. But if the game gets muddied up and a little bit grimy and it's a low-scoring defensive battle, the Eagles can win that type of game. If they need to run crazy, they can do that behind this great offensive line. So the multiplicity, if that's a word, of this Eagles team is why I think that they are the best, whereas other teams do have a lot of weaknesses. The Eagles right now, given how they've played in back-to-back weeks, Dolphins, Commanders, I think are playing their best football and are starting to fully round into form. You don't want to be like the San Francisco 49ers. Off to a 5-0 start. They look great. Then they drop 3 straight. They seem to have peaked early, whereas the Eagles have kind of been establishing this momentum slowly but steadily. And I think that that's a good sign for this team as we approach the halfway point of the year. Speaking of this Eagles-Cowboys game, we're going live. Another watch party on Eagles Now. We're going to do an hour pregame show. We're giving away an autographed Michael Vick jersey. We're going to auction off another item, surprise item, live play-by-play, audience interaction, and the best place to experience game day for Eagles fans worldwide outside of being at Lincoln Financial Field. Don't miss it. Subscribe, turn on those notifications, and join us. So we looked at how the Eagles have fared. How have the Cowboys fared? I think the Eagles are a more battle-tested team. I think they're a more mentally tough team. I think they have more impressive wins on the resume. The Cowboys, they only have 2 losses. Arizona 28-16 in week 3, and then 42-10 to the San Francisco 49ers. As Cowboy fans usually are, they're delusional, right? They think, oh, this year's our year. And I don't think it's their year because I don't think this Cowboys team is strong in all phases of the game. I worry about that coaching staff a little bit. And you look at that schedule, I don't think that they've beat a really formidable opponent up to this point. This is such a Jekyll and Hyde team, and it comes down to winning the big game for the Dallas Cowboys, which for nearly 30 years, they haven't been able to do that. The potential is there, but lack of execution, bad coaching, choking in the big moment always cost them. And why I like the Eagles to win this game is when I stack up the numbers and I stack up the rosters between these 2 teams, I think the Eagles clearly have the roster edge here. And if I break it down position by position, quarterback, I'm going with how Jalen Hurts is playing over Dak Prescott. Running back, even though I think DeAndre Swift is a little bit more talented than Tony Pollard, he's kind of an up-and-down player, and the Eagles haven't been feeding him the rock as much. Wide receiver, I'm going with the Birds. A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith, better than C.D. Lamb and Brandon Cooks. Tight end, yeah, it's Dallas Goedert, who continues to be one of the more underrated tight ends in the NFL. Offensive line, clearly siding with Philadelphia. Defensive line, the Cowboys do have Micah Parsons, but I like the Eagles' depth, and I like the collective unit a little bit more than the Cowboys. Linebacker, I'll give Dallas that. Cornerback, since Trayvon Diggs went down, you still have Stephon Gilmore, but I think that Darius Slay, James Bradbury, a better 1-2 cornerback punch than what the Cowboys have. Safety with Kevin Byard and Reed Blankenship, I'm going Philly there. And coaching, Nick Sirianni over Mike McCarthy. He's shown that to be the case over the last couple of years. So with that, I ask you this. Who you got? This will be the pinned comment for today's show, so make sure you go on down and get those predictions in. You going Birds, or are you going with the Dallas Cowboys? Let me know. My score prediction coming up a little bit later. Prize Picks, our sponsor for our Eagles-Cowboys preview. Easy and exciting daily fantasy. Head to prizepicks.com/CLNS and use the code CLNS for an up to $100 deposit match. Here are my picks that I'm liking right now. I haven't put my money down officially, but I'm liking these picks as of this very moment, middle of the week, going into this Cowboys tilt. Cowboys are susceptible, as we're about to talk about, to giving up large plays on the ground. DeAndre Swift hasn't broken out in a little while. Cam Jurgens had his practice window opened. He might be able to play. I like DeAndre Swift to pop off. More than 61.5 rushing yards, give me that. Eagles have struggled a little bit in the red zone. Jake Elliott is also one of the best kickers in the game. I like 1.5 more field goals made. And then Dak Prescott has oftentimes fared pretty well against the Eagles, and this Eagles team bottom third in passing yards allowed per game, and I think that Dak's going to be able to rack up passing yards, so I like more than 253.5. If you want to get your picks in or tail me, download the app. It is free, prizepicks.com/CLNS. Let's take a look at some team statistics for Dallas as well as Philadelphia and continue to compare these teams in our preview. The Cowboys, number 2 offense, scoring offense in the NFL at 28 points per game. They're putting up 338 yards per contest. That is 15th in the NFL. Yards per play, north of 5. That's about middle of the pack, checking in at 14. Their third down percentage, Dak Prescott, say what you want about him, has been one of the most efficient quarterbacks on money downs this year. Cowboys converting nearly 48% of their third down opportunities. A big key to the game, who can finish in the red zone. We've talked about how the Eagles have struggled converting red zone trips into touchdowns. The same can be said for the Cowboys as well. 29th in the NFL, under 41% on their red zone efficiency. As for the Cowboys defense, giving up just 17 points per game, that's number 4 in the NFL. They were number 1 before the Niners put up 42 points against them a few weeks ago. They're giving up the third least yards in the NFL at 287 per ball game. They're 9th in yards per play, 7th in third down percentage, so they fare pretty well as a defense because they can get after it with that defensive line. Red zone, though, middle of the pack once again, number 16 at just under 53. So that's how Dallas stacks up. As for how Philadelphia stacks up, right behind the Cowboys in points per game scored offensively at 28. They're putting up the third most yards per game, yards per play. Eagles still in the top 10. Third down percentage, number 1 in the National Football League. Big credit to Jalen Hurts and A.J. Brown. That 1-2 punch has been lethal through the air, but that red zone percentage continues to hold Philadelphia back a bit, 51%. That's 18th in the league. Defensively for the Birds, struggling a little bit as far as statistics go, but I think when it comes down to the eye test, they're a little bit better, giving up 21.5 points per game. That's 19th. 8th in yards per game given up. Yards per play at 16th. Third down percentage, 25th. So their third down percentage against the Cowboys, big key to this game. And then red zones. This Eagles team, not great in the red zone, especially as we saw against the Commanders. 65%, not ideal. From that, I want to shift gears to this talking point, the Dak Prescott argument. A lot of Cowboys fans have been chirping at me. They've been chirping on social media. They think that Dak Prescott owns the Eagles, especially in Philadelphia. That narrative is a little bit overblown when you look at Dak against Philadelphia in his career in total in Philadelphia. When you take a look at some of the in-depth trends, like it's not like he's totally dominated this team. In 2016, these games in Philly, by the way, meaningless game, 8 passes thrown. In 2017, game didn't matter. 2018, he did win a game that did have implications. In 2019, Dak lost with the shoulder injury. In 2020, didn't play. In 2021, he played all backups. 2022, didn't play earlier in the year as the Eagles got that win over Cooper Rush. He does have an 8-3 overall record, though, which isn't bad at all. So a little bit overblown, but something to, of course, look out for there. My keys to the game for the Philadelphia Eagles to pull out a win. We talked briefly about that Cowboys defense. They are very good, but they can be had if you run against them. And that's why I think one of the keys to this game is Philadelphia's rushing offense against the Cowboys' rushing defense. In-depth numbers here. Cowboys rushing defense, 18th in the NFL, giving up 4.1 yards per rush, 108.8 rushing yards per game. That also 18th. And Philadelphia hasn't sniffed that over the last couple of weeks. So could this be the week that the Eagles' ground game finally gets on track? And then they're giving up a little less than a touchdown per game. That's 15th in the NFL. The strategical aspect of this talking point is this, that if the Eagles can run the football here, they can bully the Cowboys up front, they can break their will, they can take the Cowboys' offense out of their rhythm, and in not having to throw it all that much, they don't let Micah Parsons wreck the game. Speaking of Micah Parsons, point number 2 and key number 2, neutralize Micah Parsons. Very special player. Nick Sirianni even said he's one of the best players in the National Football League. He has the ability to wreck the game by himself. And if he's held in check for a majority of the game, like he was against the Chargers, he can make a couple of monster back-to-back plays to end the game in the Cowboys' favor. Through 7 games, certainly in the running to an NFL Defensive Player of the Year, he has 43 pressures, 6 sacks to go along with those 43 pressures, 9 quarterback hits, and 28 hurries. Primarily, he's playing less linebacker now, more defensive end. Going to be a big test for Jordan Mailata, who, by the way, is the highest graded offensive lineman in the National Football League, according to Pro Football Focus, as well as Lane Johnson, who has fared very well against Micah Parsons. Key number 3, got to pressure Dak Prescott. Last year, led the NFL in interceptions despite missing some time with that thumb injury. And when the pocket gets muddied for Dak, the feet start to get a little bit uneasy. His eyes start to go all over the place. He doesn't see the field as well. This year, he is completing 71% of his passes. He's thrown for 1,600 yards, 10 touchdowns, 5 picks. So the interception number's down a little bit, but if you pressure Dak, you start to hit him. You also have to maybe have a quarterback spy at that linebacker spot to keep him from running, or at least be able to contain him in the pocket because he can still hurt you with his legs. That's really important. Getting home to the quarterback and finishing is going to be really important for Philadelphia's defensive line. And if they can get home with just 4 and let that back end kind of do their job without Dak Prescott having all day to kind of survey the field, that could be instrumental in this football game as well. I think that with A.J. Brown going off for 125-plus yards in 6 consecutive games, Dallas and their game planning all week has solely been focused on stopping A.J. Brown. And I think that teams at some point are going to start to hone in on A.J. Brown a little bit more. What he's done is historic. 6 straight games of 125-plus yards. Nobody has done that over the course of NFL history. I think teams are going to start to bracket him, double team him, jam him at the line of scrimmage, throw extra attention his way because they want to see if Jalen Hurts can beat them if they take away A.J. Brown. And I guarantee you it's been a massive point of emphasis for Dallas's coaching staff and their defensive coaching staff. It's a good one, led by defensive coordinator Dan Quinn. And then lastly, if this game is close and it's coming down to the wire, I don't love Dak Prescott's ability to win a close game when the pressure cooker is on the road. I do like Jalen Hurts if the Eagles are in a close game or having to come back. Clutch Jalen. These numbers, pretty astounding here. When Hurts is leading this year, 63.5% completion percentage, 6 touchdowns, 8 picks, a rating of 67. It's pretty wild, right? He plays his best ball when tied or trailing. It's what the great quarterbacks do. It's what made Tom Brady so clutch. Clutch gene, ladies and gentlemen. Completion percentage at 72.7. He's thrown for more than 1,300 yards, 13 touchdowns to 0 picks, and a rating that is far greater than it is when he is leading at 118.7. So with that, I ask you another question. Can you predict the score for me down in the comment section? Eagles, Cowboys, Sunday, as for my prediction. I think this is going to be a close game. And I think because these two teams know each other very well, I think that it's going to be lower scoring. And I think that the Eagles are going to be able to edge out the Cowboys and push that line at -3 and take the dub 26-23. I don't think they're going to dominate the Cowboys. I don't think they're going to pull away with it in dominant fashion. It seems as though when these two teams meet, these games are always very close. 26-3, my final score. Go Birds, F Dallas all day. All right, predict the score. What do you got? Possum, 42-25 Eagles. Robert, 28-24. Cool Rains, 30-24. Coyote, 27-24. Trey, 44-6. I remember that. Tony Romo, what up? 24-17 for Michael Gutierrez. Andrew Nathan, a real one on Twitter, 33-24. AS 21-17. Josh Fever, 69-9. Very nice. Next shift Eagles. Eagles 32, Cal Shit 24. What else we got? Jarrett Francis, 36-24. Lamont, 31-17. Christian, 37-31 Cowboys. David Marcella, Birds, 31-24. Eric Lovely, how do we cover CD Lamb? That could certainly have been a point in our preview. Going to be Eli Ricks against CD Lamb. It's going to be a big matchup, no doubt. CD Lamb likes to run out of the slot a lot. And obviously, it's a little bit of a point of weakness for Philadelphia. DJ LP Vibe, 33-27, and C-Dub, 31-17. All right. Coyote, your defensive line has to get pressure. Exactly. Bob D, 24-17. Good stuff by everybody. All right, what we want to do next is do a mailbag. So get your questions in. Hashtag Eagles or Super Chat. If we don't get enough questions in, we're going to have to do another segment before we do our mailbag. So make sure you use the hashtag Eagles or send in a Super Chat to get featured here live on Philadelphia Eagles Now. AS, Chase Sr., is it a red flag that UDFA Ricks is getting snaps over Ringo? Use hashtag Eagles. That's a great question. I'd love for that to be included in our mailbag. No, it's not. It just means that Eli Ricks, as a UDFA, was overlooked in the pre-draft process, and I really like his ability going back to the preseason. So use hashtag Eagles or Super Chat to ask us anything. Super Chat's guaranteed to be featured on the show. You use hashtag Eagles, opportunity to get your questions answered or your takes or your analysis featured on the screen during a segment that will be seen by thousands of people. Coyote, is Eli Ricks a slot corner? In college, he played outside, but he's played inside after the Avonte Maddox injury. All right, not a lot of questions are coming in now, so we'll give y'all some time, and we'll just go to our other segment that we have in the canister here. Hashtag Eagles or Super Chat. Get your questions in, otherwise we're not going to do a mailbag, and that's unfortunate because I love chopping it up with everybody. Hashtag Eagles. Like Next Shift. You see what Next Shift did? Martian Lynch. It's good stuff right there. I know, it's a good one. AS! Another Super Chat. Fire Brian Johnson. Sirianni needs to run the offense. I don't know, AS, because Nick Sirianni was running the offense as a rookie head coach, and that's when the Eagles got off to that slow start. And he gave up play calling duties for Shane Steichen, and then things turned around that year, and then that carried momentum into last year. David Marcella, $5 Super Chat. Nolan Smith needs more playing time, and Dean needs to push his limits. We'll go in further detail during our mailbag. Nick Sirianni did say today, though, Nolan Smith is just playing out of position that is extremely deep right now, so it's tough to give him snaps. It's not because he's not playing well. He's had some good special teams reps. It really just comes down to the Eagles being really deep along the defensive line. Michael Gutierrez using hashtag Eagles. Good stuff right there, Michael Gutierrez. Producer Trizzy Trace will include that in the mailbag as well. Detarius Rhodes. Detarius, don't call him Ray Rhodes. Fazell Mack. Bob D. All right, we're getting some good questions in. We're getting some good questions in. How many we got, Triz? Next shift with another one with the Super Chats. We should be good. We'll be good. All right, last call to get those questions or those comments in. AS, I like that one as well. Rez, just make sure you use hashtag Eagles. Martian Lynch getting another one in there. See, y'all are the best. LFG, as David Marcello would say, and let's effing go. By the way, if we get either a $50 super chat or we get to $100 in total super chats, I'll do a beer bong. If we get a $100 super chat, I will do a beer boot. That's 3 beers, 1 boot. Those are the super chat deals that I'll make with the audience here today. All right. In the meantime, going to answer your questions now live on Eagles Now, segment number 2 of 3. Let's get to it right now. Today's Eagles Now is presented by Manscaped. Get 20% off on the best men's grooming products at manscaped.com/chat. And coming up, we're going to tell you about the brand new Lawnmower 5.0 Ultra. It'll send your balls to outer space because it is out of this world. We'll put that link down below in the comment section and in the description of this video. We kick off our mailbag today hearing from the best fans in sports and, of course, the best subscribers on YouTube with AS. AS, not a big Brian Johnson fan, said that Nick Sirianni needs to run the offense. Now, I understand why a lot of people are very frustrated with Brian Johnson. This is an Eagles offense that's got off to a little bit of a slow start. They've especially struggled at points in the red zone. But when you actually take a look at what the Eagles have done as an offense this year, they've been a lot better than what people actually realize. They're still a top 5 overall offense in the National Football League. And I'm pulling up some numbers here because red zone efficiency, of course, is always a little bit of a problem. But the Eagles are 3rd in points per game, 3rd in yards per game, 1st in 3rd down efficiency, 1st in first downs per game, and 1st in time of possession. So Brian Johnson is actually doing a pretty solid job. Could he be doing better? Of course. Could the Eagles be better in the red zone as well? Of course. And while the Eagles haven't been great in the red zone, and they rank bottom half in the league, the Chicago Bears are 4th in red zone efficiency, but 19th in total offense and 17th in points per game. So it's a little bit of a give and take. And then lastly, with the Nick Sirianni portion of this, Nick Sirianni was the Eagles' head coach and play caller back in 2021. Eagles got off to a slow start. He gave up play calling duties to Shane Steichen. Shane Steichen started calling the plays. That's when the Eagles went on a roll, made the playoffs in year 1 of a rebuild, and then Shane Steichen, the offensive coordinator for this team last year. So I think that Sirianni has said that he prefers being a head coach because it allows him to see and think about the game a little bit more clearly. And Brian Johnson, slow start, Eagles offense getting a little bit better. I think his leash has lengthened a little bit. David Marcella coming in with the $5 super chat. Nolan Smith needs more playing time, and Dean needs to push his limits. I've been impressed by some of the things that Nakobe Dean has been able to do since coming back from injury, especially against the run. Really good job of sniffing out running plays. Against the pass, I think that Nakobe Dean could be a little bit better, and sometimes that's where him being undersized does hurt him a little bit. But I can't wait to see his development continue, hopefully. And then for Nolan Smith, he had that sack a couple of weeks ago. Nick Sirianni said he's not getting a lot of time, not because he's a bad player, but because the Eagles are so deep along that defensive line. And Sirianni did say, we love the player. He's flashed when he's been in there. He's made some special teams plays as well. But when you're playing on the defensive line that's as loaded as Philadelphia's, sometimes it's difficult to see the field, and it's just not been able to really carve out a role like Jalen Carter has. Matt Levinson, what is your prediction for the game on Sunday? I think Philadelphia wins by a final score of 26-23. I think it's a close game. I think it's a little bit more low scoring, and I think that it's a game in which the teams at the start feel each other out a little bit. They know each other well, so they know each other's tendencies, and it's going to be a heavyweight bout in which the Philadelphia Eagles come through with the victory late. That's my score prediction. Matt, you let me know yours, and then everybody watching right now, I want you to predict the score down in the comment section here. Eagles, Dallas, one of the best rivalries in all of sports. Next shift, are we going to see tight end Albert Okwuegbunam this week? And if he does well, maybe slide him into tight end number 2. So Grant Calcaterra, as of Wednesday, did not practice because of a concussion. If he can't play, maybe that's how we'll see Albert Okwuegbunam for the first time. Alberto, I covered him in high school, watched his career at Missouri, saw glimpses with the Denver Broncos. He just continued to fall down that Broncos tight end depth chart. He has all of the ability in the world, and for his size, he can move really, really well. I'm interested to see, for an organization that develops and grooms and nourishes tight ends like Philadelphia does. When was the last time they didn't have a good tight end, right? What they can do with a player like Albert Okwuegbunam, who can't really block, which is maybe why he doesn't see the field all that often, but he is a very, very solid pass catcher. Michael Gutierrez, did Jalen Carter practice this week, and is he in for Sunday? Jalen Carter was a full participant and not listed on the injury report on Wednesday. That's great news. Got taken out of that game against Washington with that back injury. X-rays, MRI, negative. So it is not a long-term injury, and the Eagles don't believe it's serious at all. He was kind of walking around the locker room pain-free, so that was a good indication after the Eagles got that dub against the Commies. Looks as though one of the best defensive linemen in the game, not just among rookies, is going to be able to play against the Cowboys on Sunday. As I mentioned off the top of the show, today's program presented by Manscaped. 20% off and free shipping at manscaped.com/chat. This animation is obviously cool. The Lawnmower 5.0 Ultra is what that animation is. It's incredible, and it'll take your balls to outer space. It's not a bird. It's not a plane. It's the most revolutionary ball trimmer the world has ever seen. Gentlemen, our friends over at Manscaped have been working night and day to bring you a below-the-waist grooming experience like none other with the brand new Lawnmower 5.0 Ultra. We're talking about next-generation trimmer with interchangeable blade heads for whatever shave your mind can imagine. Artificial intelligence is cool, but I think this might be the biggest technological advancement the world has ever seen. Upgrade your grooming game to the Ultra Sphere this year by going to manscaped.com/chat for 20% off and free shipping. The 5th generation trimmer features 2 interchangeable next-gen skin-safe blade heads, a standard one for taking a little bit off the top, and a new foil blade to go smooth wherever your heart desires. So one more time, it's manscaped.com/chat. Code CHAT. Join the 9 million men who have purchased their products worldwide. Bob D, next up. Glad that Howie Roseman stood pat. This is the team. There was a lot of trade buzz around the Eagles going into deadline day. They were still busy. They traded for Kevin Byard. They traded away Contavious Street. They still made roster moves by signing a guy like Julio Jones. And at the end of the day, while they didn't make any moves to improve the roster, this is still a team that doesn't have a lot of weaknesses, and this is still a team that is 7-1. So Bob D, it is in fact the squad, and hopefully this is the squad that brings that second Lombardi trophy back to Philadelphia. Carol Hosey, how many times are we going to sack Dak? Sack, Dak, sack, Dak. Let's hope it's like 5 times. And let's hope, this is like that 44-6 game back in the day when Tony Romo was getting sacked. He looked flustered, he looked confused, and he got dominated by the Eagles' defense. So let's go 5 sacks, best case scenario. I'll take 3, though. Now, if you despise the Dallas Cowboys, I want you to hit that thumbs up icon and like the video. I want you to also type F Dallas in the chat. That's been the motto all week. AS with another one. I'm disappointed we didn't get a vet nickel corner and linebacker. Your thoughts? Well, technically, they didn't trade for a vet nickel, but they picked one up. Bradley Roby played pretty well against the Los Angeles Rams after a short week of practice, and then he got injured shortly thereafter. I think the Eagles' thoughts are, once he comes back from that shoulder injury, that's going to be your vet nickel corner. Also, the play of Eli Ricks may have convinced Philadelphia to not make a trade for another nickel corner out there like a Kenny Moore, who the Eagles were rumored to be interested in. And then linebacker. I want to see more from Nakobe Dean. I think that Zach Cunningham has played good ball. Nicholas Morrow played really well filling in for Nakobe Dean. So I think the Eagles kind of like their linebacking core there as well. Detarius Rhodes. Are the Eagles going to rush for 150 rushing yards? One of my prize picks for this week is DeAndre Swift going off a little bit. This is a Cowboys rushing defense that has struggled. San Francisco 49ers ran all over them back a few weeks ago, and I think that Philadelphia can do the same. Since Cam Jurgens went out in week 4, this Eagles rushing attack has really gone by the wayside, but I think it comes back with the vengeance at home at the Link. Faisal or Fazell Mack, hopefully I pronounce it right one of the 2 times. How much is Jalen Hurts' knee injury really bothering him? As far as him running the football and the Eagles' play calling and making him a runner, I think the Eagles are being very conservative. What's interesting is that it's being called a bone bruise in his knee. He hasn't been listed on the injury report. I think it's a little bit odd he's not answering questions about it. I'm not sure why. Maybe he doesn't want to give anything away competitive advantage-wise to the opponent. But the Eagles only called 2 design runs against the Commanders this past weekend. And when he does run, he's not as fast. Word is he's been dealing with this for about a month. And maybe that's why Jalen Hurts hasn't been able to run it all that much. But his passing numbers, very, very good. Bob D with another one. Should the Eagles play loose against the Cal Faces receivers? Cal Faces. Look, I don't think that CD Lamb likes to get hit all that much. I don't think he likes to get roughed up by opposing defensive backs. I think that if you jam him at the line of scrimmage, he could be taken out of his rhythm. The threat in that is that if you miss on the jam, he could be gone because he's very quick, very athletic. So I think it's a little bit of a combination of both. Who you got? A great team between both of these squads, or a great game between both of these squads. PHI for the Eagles, DAL for the Dallas Cowboys. As always, thanks for all those great questions that came in from our subscribers on the show. And don't forget to subscribe. Good stuff. PHI for the Eagles, DAL for the Cowboys. We're giving y'all some shout-outs here. Andrew Nathan, Philadelphia. Detarius Rhodes, Philadelphia. Keegan Williams, go Birds. Eric Hearn, Eagles. Carroll, Eagles. Blue Yum Yum, Philadelphia. Stephen Lackman, Philadelphia. Faisal Fazell, again, hopefully I pronounce it right. F. Dallas Coyote, likes Dallas. Erica Jones, Philadelphia. Kane Angel, Philly. Jace, OOM, Birds. Martian Lynch, Philadelphia. Lamont Lancaster, another real one, Philadelphia as well. All right, we're up to $12 in Super Chats. Brazzy Smacks, Philadelphia. Christian Meza. This will be a great game to watch. I totally agree. Peter Thurman. Blue Yum Yum saying F Dallas forever. Forever, ever? Forever, ever? All right, coming up next here on the show, I have some burning questions about the Birds. So let's dive into those right now. Coming up on today's Philadelphia Eagles, now some burning questions that I have for this football team as the Eagles set to host the Dallas Cowboys on Sunday in Week 9. Burning question number 1 for me, what has happened to this staple Philadelphia Eagles ground game? First few weeks of the year, they were really good. And after Week 1, in which DeAndre Swift barely got the football, he was tremendous for a couple of weeks. But the last 3, he's been missing. So what is going on with this patented Eagles rushing attack? You take a look at some chat stats, in-depth numbers here. Going into the Jets game, the Eagles were second in the NFL with 164 rushing yards per game, and they were 6th in the league at 4.5 yards per carry. Over the last 3 weeks, though, the Eagles, 18th with only 79 yards per game. So those numbers pretty much cut in half. And they are 31st among 32 teams with just 3.1 yards per carry. I think a big reason why the Eagles have struggled, they've lost Cam Jurgens, and they've missed Cam Jurgens. These were the in-depth rushing numbers going into the Washington Commanders game. With Jurgens, 4 games, Eagles, 140 carries, 661 yards, 4.7 yards per carry as a team with 5 touchdowns. Without him, yards per carry all the way down to 3.6, 95 totes for 338 yards. So without him and with Sua Opeta in the lineup, this Eagles ground game has not been the same. The Eagles rushing attack going into this week against the Dallas Cowboys, specifically, you take a look at some numbers here pertaining to DeAndre Swift with Cam Jurgens. His expected points added per play, 0.26. His yards per attempt, 6.4. Team rushing success rate was at 56%. Without Cam Jurgens, though, EPA per play, negative 0.08. His yards per attempt, 3.7, and the team rushing success rate, 42%. This is a Cowboys team that does struggle from time to time against the run, and hopefully if Cam Jurgens can play this week, his practice window opened, we'll see the return of this very dominant Eagles rushing game, which I think when you're multifaceted and you have a diverse offense, it obviously benefits you, and it opens up the pass game. Burning question number 2. Is A.J. Brown the best Eagles wide receiver ever? I don't think that we can say that yet because there have been a lot of great wide receivers in the course of this franchise, but what he's been able to do so far has been incredible. 60 catches, 939 yards, 5 touchdowns, and a long of 59. For A.J. Brown, during the 7-1 start, to nearly have more than 1,000 yards already, that's crazy. And what he's done over the last 6 weeks, historic. The only wide receiver in the history of the league to have 6 consecutive games of 125-plus yards. And earlier this week, I said A.J. Brown is the closest thing to Calvin Johnson we've seen since Calvin Johnson. We have a diehard Detroit Lions fan here who works at Chat Sports who's from Detroit. His name is Jake Riepma, great hire from a few weeks ago. And he even told me he thinks that A.J. Brown, closest thing to Calvin Johnson, and he liked my comp. Now, I think that these nicknames are elite, Megatron and Mega John. Some people took Mega John way too seriously in the comment section. They were like, pause, you can't use a Mega John. You're overusing Mega John. John is a girl. John is literally anything, and it's Philadelphia themed, so relax and have some fun from time to time, right? More great numbers for A.J. Brown, though, in perspective, and thanks to Ruben Frank, NBC Sports Philadelphia, for these statistical figures here. Only 8 other players have had 6 125-yard games in their entire Eagles career. Tommy McDonald had 13, Mike Quick with 12, D. Jack with 12, Pete Retzlaff at 10, Harold Jackson at 8, Jeremy Maclin with 7, Ben Hawkins, Harold Carmichael had 6, Brown had 6 in the span of 35 days, including 3 last year. He now has 9 games as an Eagle of 125-plus yards, and only McDonald, Quick, Jackson, Retzlaff have had more. Brown has played 25 games in an Eagles uniform. So my answer to that burning question, is he the best Eagles wide receiver of all time? No. Can he be? Yes. Through 8 games, Brown already has more yards than the Eagles receiving leader in 1950, 1951, 1954, 1955, 56, 57, 58, 59, 60, 63, 64, 66, 68, 70, 71, 74, 75, 76, 77, 79, 80, 82, 87, 88, 89, 90, 93, 95, 98, 99, 2000, 01, 02, 03, 05, 06, 08, 12, 16, 17, 19, 20, and 2021. A.J. Brown is on a historic run right now, and it's time to appreciate what this man is doing. Mega John all day. Next up, is Jalen Hurts developing before our very eyes as a passer in this league, specifically in the pocket? The answer to that is yes. And maybe this has been a little bit of a blessing in disguise that he's dealing with this knee ailment right now because the Eagles aren't running him as much. And because of that, he's really growing as a thrower in this league. Check out his numbers from throwing inside the pocket in 2022 and in 2023. He is first in the NFL in completion rate, second in passer rating, third in yards per attempt, seventh in touchdown passes. He's completed 72.7% of his throws for 5,300 yards. From the pocket, he's chucked 31 tutties to 12 picks, 8.6 yards per attempt, and a 107.1 rating. What's also crazy is when you think about some of the great quarterbacks in the history of the NFL, they are quarterbacks who can come from behind. No deficit is ever too large. And when Jalen Hurts is tied or trailing, that's when he plays his best football. This year, in 2023, when tied or trailing, he's completing about 73% of his passes, 1,300 yards, 13 touchdowns, no picks, and a rating of 117.8. You look at his numbers when he's leading, 6 touchdowns, 8 picks, and a rating of 67. So what's wild, the cool, calm, and collected type of personality that Jalen Hurts has, and he never panics in the moment. So with that, I ask you this. Jalen Hurts is a top blank quarterback in the National Football League. Let me know. I think he's top 5 for sure. If you disagree with me, your opportunity to let me know down in the comment section. I'm going to let you know that Prize Picks is the best daily fantasy sports app in North America, and it's the largest independently run daily fantasy sports app in North America. You can get a $100 deposit match at prizepicks.com/CLNS and use the code CLNS. It's daily fantasy sports made easy. You pick 2+ players. You choose more or less on their projected stat lines. What's cool is now that the NBA season is here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, Sixers, you can combine your NBA and NFL picks. Here are my picks that I like as of right now going into this Cowboys tilt. I think DeAndre Swift returns, and he returns with a vengeance. More than 61.5 rushing yards. Jake Elliott, more than 1.5 field goals made. Dak Prescott, more than 253.5 passing yards. We're going to put all of this information down below in the comment section as well as in the description of this video. Get signed up. It's a free app, and you get up to that $100 deposit match at prizepicks.com/CLNS. Next burning question. I think that we have forgotten how good Josh Sweat has been this year, but over the last couple of years. Is Josh Sweat underrated? Hell yeah, he's underrated. Look at his side-by-side numbers next to Micah Parsons, who everybody thinks could win NFL Defensive Player of the Year. Sweat has played one more game than Micah Parsons, but pressures, Parsons has 43, Sweat has 40, sacks, Sweat a half sack back at 5.5 to Parsons 6, same amount of quarterback hits, and hurries, Micah Parsons has 28 to Josh Sweat's 25. Is Josh Sweat Micah Parsons? No, that's not what I'm saying. But is he underrated? Yes, because he has been a very productive player over the last few years. Another burning question. Kenny Gainwell has really struggled this year. Him fumbling the football inside the 5 against Washington, inexcusable, and then he's beefing with the fan on Instagram DMs at halftime. Unacceptable. Nick Sirianni said, yeah, we talked to him about that. The numbers for Kenny Gainwell, not good. It's been a rough year for Kenny G. Do I think the Eagles are going to cut him? No. We saw what he could do last year. In the playoffs, he was one of the best running backs in football. But he's more of a number 2 running back, or maybe even a number 3. A little bit smaller, not all that physical. He did catch the ball out of the backfield pretty well against the Commanders, especially at the end of the half after that fumble. But my gosh, you look at these numbers here, they are not good. Among 39 running backs this season with at least 51 carries, he's 39th with the Pro Football Focus grade. Yards after contact per attempt, he's 39th. Pass blocking grade, he is 33rd. Yards per route run, he is 31st. He is 39th out of 41 running backs in success rate and 42nd out of 45 running backs in rushing yards over expected per attempt. Cutting him? No. Would Rashad Penny do that much worse? I don't think so, and it continues to confuse me that he is a healthy scratch on game days. He must really not look all that good with all of the injuries that he suffered with the Seattle Seahawks, but shoot, I'd be willing to at least give Rashad Penny a try. Another burning question. Could Jalen Carter have a Fletcher Cox-like career? I'm talking success. I'm talking accolades. I'm talking longevity. Isn't it pretty crazy how long Fletcher Cox has been in the league and how elite of a player that he's been since getting drafted in 2012 out of Mississippi State? Fletcher Cox has been in the league over a decade. I think that Cox could even be better as a player. Longevity sometimes comes down to your passion for football, injuries, team success. Fletcher Cox is a very rare Eagle in that regard and one of the best defensive linemen that this franchise has ever had. But look at these numbers for Jalen Carter in his rookie campaign. He ranks 5th in the entire NFL in pressures with 28. He is the second highest graded interior defender in the NFL, and he has 14 tackles, 3.5 sacks, and 2 forced fumbles. He's off to a great start, and he's making an immediate impact for this team. Fletcher Cox was able to do the same, and it's my hope, and it's all Eagles fans' hope, that Jalen Carter could be next in line as a franchise cornerstone like Fletcher Cox has been able to be for this organization. I also love these types of quotes from players, from coaches about an individual. Sean Desai, Eagles defensive coordinator, on Jalen Carter. It's impressive how much he loves football. He's like a sponge. He's asking for feedback. He's getting coached hard. And even from his peers, he's taken out a lot of coaching from his peers. And whoever he can feel like he can get information from, a lot of guys are touching him. Pause. But that's always a good sign, right? When you're a sponge as a young player and you don't think that your ish don't stink and you're always willing to get better and you're willing to work hard. Love what I've been able to see from Jalen Carter so far in its NFL career, and I think that the special play for the special player is only getting underway. And yes, the Eagles got him with the 9th overall pick. Shout out Howie. Make sure you join us on Sunday for our Eagles-Cowboys watch party. We will be live with an hour pregame show starting at 3:25 p.m. Eastern. We're going to start the tailgate off about an hour before the game, taking down some drinks. We're going to be giving away a Michael Vick autographed jersey. We're going to be raffling away some more items as well. You don't want to miss it. It's the best place to experience game day outside of being at the actual game. Good show today. Thanks to everybody who tuned in, who's been hanging out here with us. It's Dallas week. F the Cowboys as always. Recent commenter club. I see Carol, Coyote, Andrew Nathan, Al Capper, Cool Rains. I think I saw a super chat come in from Andrew Nathan, right? We'll get to that super chat from Andrew Nathan. $5. Chase, I don't like that the side drops our defensive ends into coverage, especially BG. Your thoughts on this and why he doesn't disguise the defensive looks as much? I've seen some disguises where they fake blitz and then drop guys back. If they do drop defensive ends back, it is a disguise. So while you might not like that, you're asking for more disguises, and that's kind of what the disguise is. Brandon Graham faking a blitz, Hassan Reddick faking a blitz and then dropping back. That can confuse the quarterback. He thinks that the blitz is coming. He tries to throw to the hot, quick throw. Defensive end, linebacker, safety, they drop back, able to pick off the pass. So I think it's a little combination of a couple of things there, Andrew. But I think that what Sean Desai's been able to do, I hated his game plan against Washington. I love what he did against the Miami Dolphins. And I think that what he's done this year in totality as the Eagles defensive coordinator, he's done some good stuff. Join us on Sunday, Eagles-Cowboys watch party. You do not want to miss it. It is going to be absolutely incredible, and I can't wait for it. Live play-by-play, audience interaction, super chat giveaways, instant reactions. It's going to be great. Great show. Get better beer, though, Chase. Try Guinness from Al Capper. That's pretty funny. Hey, I just drink whatever we have here. I mean, I'm a beer connoisseur. I'm going to go for a run after work tonight, and then I'm going to have the Atomic Pumpkin, spicy. I'm going to be rocking a flannel, and I'm going to be drinking a beer while watching the World Series. That's what I'm going to be doing. So I do have a good taste in beer, Al Capper. But sometimes here at work, I just take what I can get. All right, Trizzy has to do his own stuff as the host of Saints Now, so we are going to sign off. David Marcella, is that Vic signature real, or is it laser printed on the jersey? It is going to be real. We'll send you the jersey with the certificate of authentication as well. So that will go to our Super Chat MVP, the largest individual Super Chat. I will do this. Let's go 2 minutes for anybody who wants to get a Super Chat in. 2 minutes for anybody who wants to get a Super Chat in. And then we'll let Trace do his thing. Paul chiming in, Louisiana zone. Paul sneaking in a $5 Super Chat during our 2-minute Super Chat shot clock. Paul, we love you, man. We appreciate you, bro. Everybody type Paul in the chat. He's a legend. No doubt about it. Thank you, Paul. Andrew Nathan typing Paul. If we get a $50 Super Chat, I'll do a beer bong for y'all. Then I'll go on my run. If we get a $100 Super Chat, I'll do a beer boot.
And then go on the run.
1 minute, 10 seconds left on the Super Chat shot clock. Paul, how close do you think this game is going to be? Paul, my final score, 26-23. What do you think, Paul? Andrew Nathan, I see Cowboys Twitter saying they're going to rock Philly. Clowns. They're always overconfident. And that's why they're always in shambles when they take an L. Because they build their hopes up only to get Rocky sucker punched in the face.
It's our year.
It's our year. I can't believe we lost. Doomsday, F. Dallas, Andrew, F. Dallas, Brazzy Smacks, typing Paul. 20 seconds left for you to get your Super Chats in. David, I'm going to hold out until Sunday. I might want that jersey. All right. Yeah, it's going to be the white road jersey with the Michael Vick signature on there. Pretty sweet. And my suggestion to anybody who wins our jerseys, frame them. Looks so cool in the frame. Cool Reigns. I love how they say it's, it was there, in the 1990s. I'm saying that in the Australian voice because Cool Reigns tuned in from Aussie land. How was that, Cool Reigns? Cool Reigns? Cool Reigns, mate? You like that, mate? Is that pretty good? A, B, C, D, or F, Cool Reigns? Give me your grade, and then we'll sign off. Brian, Bidding, F. Dallas. It was good. Aussie, Aussie, Aussie. Oi, oi, oi. We'll catch you on Sunday for Trace. I'm Chase for the Bird Gang. F the Cowboys. How about them Cowboys? We'll see you Sunday. Peace.